You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's something on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Roses in the Flames. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. There we go. Nope, that is the wrong one. Let's... Ignore. Here, 1 second, y'all. 1 second. There we go. I just loaded up the wrong save is all, and the game freaked out. Okay. You? Well, we have our own sorts of problems, too. Food is being sent to the front, where we sometimes have to rely on our farmers to take care of us. Fortunately, the rivers nearby hold plenty of fish for us to eat. I'm not worried about food problems. However, I am worried about medicine shortages. I've been seeing those more lately. I've heard rumors that the exterminators are getting closer here every day. But my friends tell me there's nothing to worry about, and Judge Bennett tells us there's nothing to worry about, and that the borders are well protected. Do you guys have anything like any programs for a dragon to practice self-defense? I think there's one down near the southern part of Drakenshire, but the other option is the battle cages. The battle cages, I think they should close it down. Why do you think that is? Well, it's because I have to treat someone every week for wounds sustained from there. There's too many dragons acting rough against one another in there. I advise for any dragon not to go there to practice fighting unless you want to be a military dragon, and perhaps you could. They aren't as rough as those normal civilians in the cage. I think the dragons who go there are just itching to see a fight, and they provoke another dragon to anger them enough to attacking them. It's sad. I don't condone violence either way. And perhaps maybe the best place to practice fighting or reflex skills is in the forests, or the plains of Virfik. Virfik is where the patrols go half the time, and I know they like to mess around every once in a while, but they take their jobs seriously. Winter, the patrol leader, does a very great job leading her team. The other patrol leader, Oceanpaw, not so much. The patrols, they are okay, right? I think Magma the other day said something about meeting them only to take me here instead. The patrols are okay. They can take care of themselves. They train daily either in the woods or the cages. Well, who's the leader of the entire army of this city? Well, I think that would be Saxor, but I'm not sure if it's either him or perhaps another dragon. Who's Saxor? Oh! Look on her face. I have to admit, Saxor isn't that bad looking. I have had to treat him for several times when he would go to fight the exterminators. He's pretty nice. I don't have any issues with him. I gotta see it again. It's cute. Snowy and I stood in silence for a few moments before she changed to a new topic. So, what do you guys usually eat here? What is there to eat? Oh man, that was him changing the topic. Well, I'm happy you brought that up. We have a lot of options of what we want to eat around here. Some of the food is not exactly nutritious either. I'm what you call a healer, most commonly known as a doctor. Yeah, we call them doctors too. One thing I've noticed here is how similar it is compared to what humans had. Whatever humans had, we didn't exactly copy it. If you were to go downtown to either the Sky Bridge or the ancient library, you'd find out how our architecture has developed based upon how we came to be. We came from humans. I'm not sure you know that. What do you mean? Well, from what I gathered, I could make a pretty good observation that humans somehow became dragons, you see. The ancient library near the center of town has more information. I visit it daily. Some of the other doctors here aren't that observant when it comes to treating mysterious diseases, but I found out about how to cure diseases such as red fire and timber swallow. Also, by the way, I'm the only doctor who has knowledge about how to cure those diseases. What's remarkable is that those scrolls that the Scroll Keeper had found contains information that was lost for centuries. It's very interesting. Colored me intrigued. I like sharing these forgotten ideas with other dragons. Unfortunately, nobody seems to want to care. At least you care, though. Right, but I wish that others would focus on keeping their oaths more. I can't say I blame them, though. The war leaves too many unnatural wounds that make many healers want to quit. We're short on healers at the moment, but fortunately we gained a whole new batch of fresh college students who studied healing and they applied to work here. There's something else I read in those scrolls, and some of the scrolls appear to be torn, as if some of the information was censored to keep us from knowing something deeper. I suspect that Scrollkeeper Thomas knows more than what he's letting on. Scrollkeeper Thomas? Scrollkeeper Thomas is in charge of the entire library. He oversees all of its operations, and he keeps to himself most of the time. However, he does come in here once a month. I never really talked to him. Anyways, what about you? What questions do you have for me? I have so many. Where do I start? What's it like being a dragon? Well, I like being me. I am me. Surprised or jealous? Snowy flexes her wings a bit and shifts her paws next to each other. I looked up at her slowly, somewhat admiring her appearance. Well, I never imagined that a week ago I'd wind up in a room talking to a talking dragon. I sense that you're less stressed than compared to when I to the walk with Magma and I. Considerably less. I was supposed to show up to work too, but I guess that didn't happen. Think of it this way. If you are what you say you are, you most likely would end up with free housing. But I think Magma would make you work around her apartment, such as cleaning things for her to earn your keep. I groaned. I'd imagine it is considerably worse. I've been in her apartment only once, and some of the areas appear to be messy. There was also another dragon there, too. I think her name was Margaret? I like Margaret. She was the blue one you were speaking of earlier, too, I take it. I nodded. Margaret and Magma are both best friends. Margaret, I believe, lost her apartment because of rising costs of living, and Magma understood her situation and took Margaret under her wing. Margaret works at the Scalies downtown. I love eating there. It's one of the most popular places in town to grab a bite to eat. Margaret sometimes makes my food there. What do you think about Margaret? I think Margaret is a nice dragon. I like her. But she does have her own problems just like the rest of us. She doesn't really like talking about her past. I would assume Magma would know more about her past, but all I know is that she had experienced some type of loss when she was younger. Anyways, to recap, yes, I like being a dragon. I haven't imagined being something else. Okay. What is it like to fly? Flying is fun. I love to fly. What's not to love about flying? It just feels as if you're floating in the sky while flapping your wings several times to keep yourself up. The air in my wings, my face against the wind, it's all memorable. Although flying is sort of risky nowadays given the spotters. Spotters? What's a spotter? Imagine a dragon minding their own business. They want to fly and discover new places they haven't been to before. A spotter is another term for a scout. Typically a runt exterminator, and a runt exterminator are exterminators who are born last. So they can't fight against a regular dragon, for they are born smaller. A spotter is only useful to the exterminators to scout out other dragons flying near a camp or where a regiment is stationed. They disguise themselves in forests or mountain regions to find other dragons to round up and attack. So a scout. Got it. If I were to ever go exploring, I'd have to look out for them. Yes, you have to look for them. They can only be noticed by emitting a strange odor. It's really weird to think about, but it's the only way to detect one. Each spotter is born with a unique characteristic trait. A genetic trait. They can't stop rubbing their bodies with stinkhorn mushrooms. It's strange, believe me. But that's the only way we could find them is because of those mushrooms. Ironically, it saved the lives of the soldiers when they scout out those lands. A mushroom? A stinky mushroom? Mm-hmm. I could tell Snowy was hiding a laugh. I know it's funny, but I miss the times where I used to be able to fly undetected. Now I can't risk flying or else I'd get caught. That forest we were in a few days ago, do exterminators frequent around these parts? Yes, they do. Ever since a few years ago, it wasn't always like that. Who is the leader of the exterminators in this area? That? I do not know. I would ask Saxor what his name might be, but as far as I'm concerned, he is the enemy number one. I decided to change topics. Earlier we spoke about books. I was reading one. Yes, we were reading a book about war, C.K. Wickham, Forever Young. If you want to take that book, you could take it if you wish and read it once you're back at Officer Magma's apartment. Thank you, Snowy. It's my pleasure. Now we can talk about other things and get back to the subject at hand. What other things did you learn from the scrolls you spoke of? That is a unique question. I'm glad you brought it up. So, everybody knows you aren't allowed to take any of the scrolls from the library at all, period. If you get caught, you go to jail. However, I'm one of the only few who are allowed to take scrolls home because I'm an important asset to the community. I heal other dragons, so I usually take these scrolls home and read them all. I usually read about the topics in the matter of having a healthy society or finding old remedies to diseases recently revived by war. When I found you for the first time, I was looking for a rare plant that acts as a remedy to treat the disease called small scale. Small scale is where your scales shrink to smaller sizes, and it could dig into the skin. It's quite painful, and I've had to treat quite a few patients with it. From what I hear, it's pretty painful. I'm grateful to not have had it yet, but I'm glad that I found the plants I needed the day after you arrived. Anyways, the scrolls. I found so much more about history in those scrolls than I ever did when I went to school. Schoolkeeper Thomas is pretty friendly and understanding towards me whenever I want to borrow a scroll from the library. Is there anything in the library that you can't read? Oh, absolutely. I believe there's a hidden vault underneath the ancient library. I can't be for certain, but whenever I walk in the library, I swear I can feel a hollowed-out space underneath the floor of the ancient library. Hidden vault? How about a history book of the history of this town? When was the city built? Okay, so right now the year is 1195 in the Fourth Age. Wait, are you okay? Snowy could see I displayed a wide mix of emotions across my face. I don't know if I was going to be okay again. I was still surprised about being here in the world full of talking dragons. I was surprised that I was even here and alive to see it all unfold before my eyes. I began to wonder about fate lately, and I never gave it any thought before until a few days ago. Why me? Why was I chosen to be here? I'm okay, Snowy. Continue. Alright. Well, Drakenshire was built around 2,000 years ago in the Third Age. Everybody knows that each age lasts 1,200 years, which us dragons call the number 1,200 and the number of completion. Why is that exactly? That I do not know the story behind why that is. All I know is that in the First Age, the number 1,200 was spoken a lot in this particular scroll I was reading. What did it end up saying? I don't know. The last part was turned off as if someone didn't want another to read it. It's kind of creepy if you think about it. What have my ancestors done to have their pasts hidden from us? Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!